Hi everyone, welcome to the Game Talk. Ajax Vitesse 5-0. Luke, I see you're smiling. Look, I'm gonna give it to you. You can start. I'm very positive. Actually, I didn't realize we could win 5-0 this season, so early in the season. But this feels nice. This feels good. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with maybe Akpom scoring, Hato scoring, Taylor looking like a different player today? So where do you want to start?
Let's start with just the team in general first. I think let's generalize it first. People are going to say that Vitesse were poor, and they were, but I think in our own right, we were really, really good as well. There were times where there were 1-2s, rotations, nice little passes for play, people actually moving to create space to then receive the ball. And overall, it was really, really, really good for me. I'm very happy. Like you said, when was the last time we won by 5 goals or even scored more than 2 and kept a clean sheet as well? And it looked like everyone today had a part to play, and they did it either well or very, very good. There was no one that I think was below par today.
Yeah. When we started looking at the starting lineup, of course, we already knew from the press conference yesterday, Van het Schip said that Soutalo and Brobbey were doubtful. They couldn't play today. They were not even in the squad. So we saw Wrench moving to the center back position. That was interesting. And also we saw Akpom starting as a striker. So can you highlight those two for me? What's your overall impression after this game?
Akpom, outstanding. For me, is my man of the match. The way he held the ball today, he held it with such control for me, which Brobbey always seems to do really, really well, holding up the ball. But whenever Brobbey does it, he never seems to do anything with it. It makes it look more difficult than it is to just release it to somebody. I felt Akpom, every single time he held it, was able to distribute it to someone else, keep the game going. It was always dangerous, and always felt like they knew where he was going to be. Sometimes I feel like they don't know where Brobbey will be at times. It's like one of those things we talk about intelligence. But for me, Akpom in outstand today, his best game that I've seen him play. And maybe it was a time for him to play a run of games, get used to it, and then be able to perform to a good level. Wrench as well did really, really well. For me, he's always been a central defender more than a right back. At times, I feel like he's very, very brave, very, very brave, and always wants to put his body on the line. And I feel like that's really important. And it takes the pressure off him slightly, playing out from the back. I feel like a lot of the time at right back, when he receives the ball, he's a bit lost, but he knows that if he moves wide for the goalkeeper to receive, he can just distribute it. But overall, both of them I thought was really, really good. Akpom, a man of the match.
About Akpom, right? You said that Brobbey is a little bit different, right? And Akpom is a little bit different. Do you feel Brobbey is maybe a little bit more static than Akpom? Akpom moves a little bit more in certain pockets, in spaces, etc., etc. It's much more difficult to maybe defend for the opposition.
Absolutely, it's one of those things. Not intelligence. Not trying to say he hasn't got any intelligence for Brobbey, but you could tell there's a little bit of experience with Akpom there. I mean, Akpom's pushing he's 27, 28 or something, getting towards the latter years of his 20s. Brobbey's still quite young, so there's something that he can learn, and hopefully Akpom being in and around the team has pushed Brobbey to have fairly good performances in recent weeks prior to the international break. But also hopefully it keeps him on his toes and makes him work harder, because it'd be quite hard to get rid of Akpom at the starting lineup after today. So he's got to work hard, and maybe we can even see both in the team doing similar things and maybe scoring goals together.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to highlight other players as well. Marta started on the left back position. Some people were questioning why not Sosa. Maybe it had to do with Manhu from Vitesse, who is maybe the best player on their side, or most dangerous player on their side. What do you think of his performance today?
Marta?
Yes.
Yeah. Good as well. Very young, obviously, still. So he's only been in recent. So and he's not a left back. He's a winger predominantly, right? So he's going to get used to it. However, he held himself really, 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 really well when it comes to making last-minute blocks in the box. He was there. He was very quick to get back into position and hold him and hold the man up and stall them, waiting for support to come back in the box. Quite similar to how we saw Tahirovic do it when he gave away the penalty a few weeks ago. He was there doing the same things, except for he's a lot more focused. There was one tackle he made where he missed and was gone. That's just a bit of inexperience, in my opinion, because he's still young. And I think the more he plays, then the more experience he'll get in that position. And I feel like he will improve quickly, because he said he's happy to play wherever he's needed. And I like that attitude. It's a really, really good attitude for me. So he'll improve quickly, I think. But overall, really, really good as well.
We have to talk about, actually, because it's so easy to forget about this player, 17 years of age. He had his national call-up. He played, 17 years old still, Luke. And he had his goal today, his first goal, which was a nice goal as well. Papimento already has a nickname for him, Brick Wall Defender. Just a quick words on Hato and his development so far this season.
It's incredible. He becomes ever reliant every single week. More and more time he plays, the more and more confident you get in his abilities. And whenever he gets the ball, I'm confident he's not just going to give it away. Okay, he makes the odd pass. Sometimes gets intercepted when he tries the long passes straight to someone's feet in between the lines. But whenever he's got the ball at his feet, he always seems to be able to turn away from a player that's pressing him and play it back to the keeper, or able to play out wide to Mata and continue to allow play to develop and proceed, you know? I'm really happy for him to get his goal today. Deserved it for the effort he's put over the last year or so anyway, you know?
Yeah, before people start, like maybe thinking, hey, Juan, you're going a little bit too far with this. It's Vitesse and these kind of things. I'm looking at a few comments, and I'm seeing already, okay, let's not, get too high on this win. But just quickly on Hato, because we had this also tweeted or posted, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So if you compare him to De Ligt or maybe Timber, and I know it's different because they had their development at different ages, but do you think he falls into that category of players that could end up far in terms of where he can end up to, also for Ajax?
Absolutely. If anything, I'm worried that he might do it too early and follow in the footsteps of Gravenberch or someone like that, because nowadays, as you reach 18 and you're performing consistently, everyone has their eyes on you, and that big move abroad might appeal to him and some other young players. I hope that he would stay and think about his long-term, international teams. Like Timber stayed that extra season because it was a World Cup year, etc., etc. I hope that he has the same ideals and wants to develop properly, and I think this is the right place for him to do it. But definitely 3-4 years, and all the big teams, if they're not already looking at him, they'll be looking at him for sure.
Yeah. Look, about the game itself, right? There were a couple of key moments. I think one of the basic key moments was also we scored the goal, of course, which Hato did, and then we conceded the goal. And there's some discussion about whether it was offside, yes or no. I know it was very hard from that camera position to know whether it's offside, yes or no. But what do your gut feeling tell you? Did we escape that one, or was it offside according to you?
See, at the time, I thought he was going to give it as a goal, because when they brought up the lines, it looked so tight, and I couldn't even see for what point they were trying to pull it. I think it was Wrench, I think, that played him on. I can't remember which side it was on, who played him on. I don't know if it's on the top or the bottom, but it was so tight, and the lines just weren't clear. And I actually prepared myself for them to give the goal, because I was like, sometimes when it's too tight, they give it, they allow the benefit to the attacker. But what a goal it was as well. You couldn't be mad if it was allowed. That you could be annoyed that we conceded, but it was a great touch, great finish. So, but luckily, I think we did escape with that one.
Yeah, I just want to talk about two more players because we saw a lot of players today, and I think we should highlight them a little bit. We have to talk about Taylor. He's been criticized a lot by everyone on the channel, but also by pundits, media, etc., etc. But we always said, like, what's his role actually? I mean, where does he really excel as a player on the midfield? And we always had this idea, okay, actually he has to be more up front, going into the opponent's half and doing like 1-2s, etc. But one of the things that today, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that was really good by him today, he was very active. He was making runs, also off the ball movements, etc., and creating space for others, like Akpong benefiting from it, etc. So do you feel like this was also smart from het Schip to make that change, to give him that role for this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of his best performances for a while, if not the best. I think he was able to get into the opponent's box a lot of the time from deep, which means that runners, if midfield runners from the opposition team weren't keeping an eye on him or marking him, he's free to receive every time. And you saw time and time again, he was getting into the box on a through ball. I think it helped that Hlinson kept moving wide as well, trying to rotate with Berghuis, which made more space to allow Akpom to receive the ball, and then for Taylor to get into the box. But yeah, I think everything was spot on today from Van Schip.
Yeah, two more players quickly on them. Tahirovic, who started today as a pivot, and also Mikototsu that came in. Mikototsu is like an enigma. We still don't know what kind of player he is, what he can do, etc. But we saw now he played almost 20 minutes, so we saw a little bit more of him. What's your opinion on both players and their performance today, from what you could see?
Tahirovic showed Tahirovic things. I think he's been solid since he's joined. He's not been anything outstanding 9 out of 10, but he gives you a good 7 out of 10, I think, most weeks, and at times you can rely on him. I know I said a few weeks ago or a week or so ago that I would like Voss in there with Flinson, but there's nothing wrong with Tahirovic with what he does. And he's very composed, and he always wants to get back straight away when a move breaks down. And a lot of the time, you always find him intercepting the pass, or the ball's hitting him and he's blocked it and it's gone out of play or something. So he's willing to do the dirty work, the defensive work, at the back, even if he goes forward. So I really appreciate Tahirovic's performances as well. With Mikotadze, it's a strange one because obviously we don't know what his position is, and he went on up to, as a striker, I think, for Agpom, no? So that's where everyone thinks he should play, but also at the same time, he needs to get used to playing there with the players that he's playing with. I know Agpom's come in and scored 5 goals, I think, now, give or take, in the few games he played. So that's going to be hard to top as well. And there's a certain amount of expectation because of his price tag as well. So this all can come into play. But I'm hoping that you get a few more games as a striker and be able to impress. But with Brobbey and with Akpom, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. We'll see how that unfolds. Let me go through the comments quickly, and then I have a final question, like I always have for you, if that's okay. Sander is saying, I will translate it in Dutch. He said, I think Mikototsu was actually pretty good on the ball, and also he has a very good way of turning, turning around, his agility for going from left to right, right to left. That's something that really, me too, actually, what Sander is saying, I agree with him. If you want to react to one of the questions, let me know, by the way. I'm good just going through them quickly, just picking a couple. Nickname is saying, and just like that, we're 8th in the league now. From John van het Schip basically steering us in the right direction. Actually, if we win the RKC game, we still have a few minutes to play next week. We can even, be close to 5th position. So, okay, let's not go too far, being too positive right now. Sander is also saying Wrench for me was good at the center back position. And also Tony agreeing to that. Wrench played well. And Millennial say, look, guys, I understand, you guys are all in cloud 9 here, but Vitesse was so bad, we should not celebrate. Let's see what we can do against Marseille. Look, that was actually my last question. Let me just throw it out right now because Millennial was making that point. We know Vitesse we could see they were poor. There's a reason why they're, last in the league. But do you feel like we can still be positive about today's game? And more importantly, do you think this will build the confidence from the players and the squad as a whole going into the Marseille game? Or is that too easy? It doesn't take one game to do that.
Absolutely. You sometimes need these games to get your confidence up. Yes, someone like Wrench might have needed this to help him. Gay needs all the games he needs to get used to it, to get used to everything. Because he looked actually quite good today as well. Guy, he was very composed at times, and he looks better every week on the ball, and he's also looking better defensively at times as well. So you can see there's improvement every week. So we need these games sometimes, the big 5-0s, to everyone go away happy. The mood is good for at least 48 hours until the week starts and everyone goes back to work, So, we need these games, and it can only mean better things when they go to the training ground, the mood's good, and they can only improve, So sometimes we need these games. We absolutely celebrate it. There's no point not celebrating a 5-0 win as well, and we're not, we're not bottom of the league. Let's be happy about it. We can see the improvements, and we always said that if as long as we see improvements, the results will happen eventually, and we're seeing that.
Absolutely, you're right. Stephen is saying, I think Taylor, talent-wise, is a good player, but his football intelligence is the main question mark. Sometimes, I agree with that as well. That's a good one. Steve's also saying...
Sorry, just to go back to that Taylor one, I think because we notice it more when he plays deeper, because you lose the ball deeper, you're in trouble to counter attack. If he would, in the box, he made a couple of questionable decisions in the box. He scored a really good, nice goal, but there are a couple of decisions that questionable, and we got counted from them. But because they were so high up, a little bit less effective than if he made them as a 6 and he's lost the ball deeper at the halfway line and a half. So, I think it's some perspective to take that if he plays higher up and he is in the box and he loses the ball, it's not as bad as if he loses it as a 6, Not as bad. Do you know what I mean? There's still time for players to get back and fill in positions instead of losing it closer to our own net.
That's true. So. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I wanted to highlight this one as well. Steve is saying on the ball, Ajax now is night and day compared to Stijn. Off the ball, Ajax still needs to improve a lot. Like being slightly critical, maybe you can say there were moments today that you saw that the spaces were too large again. Some of the things we saw a few weeks ago as well, between the attacking line and the defensive line. The midfield was open sometimes, and we looked vulnerable sometimes, even against Vitesse. So we need to fix that a little bit.
I think it's a game management thing once again. Not everyone needs to bomb forward, especially when we're 2 goals up. Not everyone needs to get into the box to try and get that. Everyone wants to get on the goals. No, absolutely fine with that, and everyone wants to score. It's about realizing, okay, Bergwijn is forward, Berghuis is forward, Linson's forward. Let's just sit back and not defend with 3 players. Let's manage the game, and your chance will come when you get into the box, right? So it's one of those things. But also at the same time, if we're going to be on the front foot with the ball all the time, we can't be the most perfect attacking team, the perfect defensive team. You're going to have spaces that open up. Man City do also, and all the teams that stay on the ball. Arsenal do all the time also. So, PSV, biggest ones, they attack like gung-ho. There's spaces all over the place at times, but they're quite proficient. So we need to make sure that when we get the chances, we score them. So like today, we got a 3-goal lead, 4-goal lead. When we get countered, it's not going to have a big effect, but also game management.
Yeah, one of the things you can also say is that we haven't had a series of games or a team that's the same composition every time we play. So Van het Schip is also forced to make changes all the time, and sometimes still the chemistry has to develop, with all these players. So it makes sense that not everything is perfect as well. I agree. Just quickly on. Keep saying Vitesse bad. Imagine if we were still with Stijn or Schreuder. That's a good comment, actually. And yeah, just one more. That's the question actually that I want to finish off this game talk. DNNY is asking, do you want Sven back now? I don't know if this is a question to Luke or just a general question. But maybe Luke, you want to answer that quickly. What about Sven actually leaving?
My opinion on Sven.
Yes.
I always felt like he wanted to mold. At first, I thought he wanted to bring in players because he had an idea of how he wanted Ajax to play. I thought he brought in a coach like Stijn because he wanted a yes man that would just be okay as a head coach and then have Sven who dictates it essentially. But after hearing everything that come out afterwards about he wanted Knutsen and all this. I don't know, man. I think maybe they were a bit hasty to get rid at the time, but then also we can't look back and think, oh, what if? We need to move forward. We're on a positive road now. We're going up the table. Hopefully the technical director they bring in will do a good job,
Yeah. Okay. I promise this would be the last question, and before people start laughing at me, there will be no more questions, so I cannot pick up all the comments, guys, but we really appreciate the comments. Let me ask you guys, I'm not asking Luke anything anymore. I'm asking you guys, drop in the comments if after the stream is done, drop in the comments, what was the highlight for you of this game? Whether it's a player or a sequence, attacking sequence or defensive intervention, anything. What's that one highlight today that will maybe stick with you when you go to bed? I don't know, later on or tomorrow when you wake up and you're thinking about the Ajax game. What stood out for you? Leave it in the comment below when we finish. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys. We will be back with the Marseille game on Thursday. We will have a pre-show, and after the game, we will have a game talk as well. Enjoy the 5-0, guys. We really needed that this season. And let's keep climbing the ladder. And let's hope for the best also in the Europa League on Thursday. Thank you all. See you soon. Luke, thank you as well, man.
No worries, man. Take care.